Selective pallet racking, or closed-faced racking, is the most common means of storing pallets at height and is a feature of most modern warehouses. The assembly and disassembly of these structures can be a high-risk undertaking, and as such, it is very important that safe working practices are developed and adhered to. The following video will provide useful information as to how to carry out this task safely. Prior to installation, ensure a safe work method statement is developed and is specific to the worksite where construction will take place. Team members must be consulted when carrying out the hazard and risk analysis so that everybody is clear on how the job will be carried out safely. Materials handling and access equipment should be selected based on the suitability for the task, and all plant such as forklifts, scissor lifts and electrical tools should be checked for damage or defects prior to use. Forklift and scissor lift logbooks should be filled out after inspection. All lifting equipment should be in good condition and should also be checked prior to use. Lifting equipment should be inspected by a competent person at regular intervals as specified by the manufacturer, and at least once a year. All staff must wear personal protective equipment that has been outlined in the Safe Work Method Statement. This should include, but not be limited to, steel cap boots, high visibility clothing, protective eyewear and hard hats. Protective gloves are to be worn whenever handling steelwork, or as specified in the Safe Work Method Statement. When unloading racking materials, ensure the area is isolated from other staff or trades, and use visual or physical barriers where necessary. Use a spotter to assist the forklift driver in busy or high traffic areas, and ensure driver is clear before unloading. Check that bundles are strapped sufficiently when unloading and moving to work area. Prior to installing any steelwork, mark out the floor so that the racking frames can be correctly positioned with minimal movement when erecting. Ensure that there is no forklift activity in the area when marking out the floor, and tape off area if necessary. When assembling frames, ensure that the benches are set up at a suitable height to avoid back strain. Packs of uprights should be stacked no higher than 3 packs high, or around waist height to avoid the risk of collapse onto workers. Ensure that there is enough space around the assembly benches to work comfortably. Gloves should be worn at all times when handling the framing materials to prevent cuts. Hearing protection should be worn when using rattle guns to tighten the frame bolts. Stack frames no higher than 15 high, and ensure that they are suitably strapped before moving. Prior to standing the starter bay, ensure beam heights are marked on the frame so that the beams can be installed correctly from scissor lift once erected. Position scissor lift central to the bay that is being erected. Use an approved lifting jib to lift the initial frame into position. While frame is in transit, a spotter must be used to stabilise the frame at the base and to look out for any potential obstacles. The use of a sling will ensure the spotter can stand clear of the forklift when frame is in transit and will minimise the risk of coming into contact with the machine. Once frame is in position, the scissor lift operator can stabilise the top of the frame while lower support beam is fitted. Once support beam is fitted at the bottom position, the scissor lift operator can fit upper beam and stabilise until second frame is erected. The second frame can now be lifted and moved into position using the same procedure. Once positioned, bottom beams can be connected while frame is held in place by the scissor operator and lifting jib. After bottom beam has been fitted and the locking pins secured, the upper beam can be connected and lifting jib removed. The scissor lift operator can now fit out all beam levels from top down using the pre-marked beam locations. Once the starter bay has been erected, the bay can be shifted to exact position, squared, and levelled. Frame should now be fixed into position using suitable floor anchors. 2 anchors per base plate should be installed unless specified by the manufacturer. Eye and ear protection must be worn when installing floor anchors. Once starter bays are in position, the rest of the run can be stood. The scissor lift may be loaded with beams either by hand or by using a jib and slings. The weight of materials and operator must not exceed the lifting capacity of the machine, and there should be enough room to safely work within the confines of the platform. The scissor lift operator will fit top beams initially, ensuring locking pins are secured, and will then move back, allowing for bottom beams to be installed. Frame ties should be fitted to the frames prior to lifting to minimise the amount of work to be carried out at height. Frames are fitted and moved into position in a similar fashion to the starter bay. Once frame is positioned, the ground crew can connect lower beams, while frame is held at top by scissor lift operator. Once bottom beams are connected and locking pins secured, the scissor lift operator can connect top beams. Frames can now be levelled and frame ties connected. Ground crew must stand clear while overhead steelwork is being installed. And all staff must wear hard hats at all times. Once a run is completed, ensure frames are running straight by using a string line and spacers. Check that measurements are correct at each end of the string line, and then adjust each intermediate frame accordingly. Once the racking has been straightened, the frames can be bolted to the ground using suitable floor anchors. Ensure hearing and eye protection is worn when drilling concrete and tightening dynabolts. Ensure leads are not run across aisles where forklifts may be operating, and hang leads above floor where possible. Racking should never be left unbolted in areas where there is operating machinery or risk of collision. External beams can be fitted from the scissor lift running along the outside of the rack, ensuring no work is being carried out below and aisles are taped off where necessary. Internal beams will be fitted by removing lower beams on racking and driving through each bay, installing beams from top down. Again, No groundwork should be undertaken where overhead work is taking place, and aisles should be taped off to prevent pedestrian access. On completion of works, all areas should be cleaned up with rubbish disposed of and spare materials removed. Ensure safe work load signs are installed before handover so that the end user is aware of the capacity limits of the racking. All beam pins, nuts, bolts and floor anchors must be checked for correct installation and tightness before signing over the job. Key points to remember. Ensure a safe work method statement is supplied for the job and specific to the worksite. Ensure all equipment is suitable for use, tagged and in date. Ensure work area is isolated from other staff and trades. Ensure all high work is carried out from a suitable elevated work platform or scissor lift. Ensure PPE is worn as directed and outlined in the Safe Work Method statement. Do a final safety check, ensuring all nuts, bolts and screws are tightened before signing over the job. Thank you for watching and stay safe.